We are here for a very, very provocative top topic, getting Japan 100 unicorn in next 2 years. I think it's truly an ambitious target. Because I remember when I took the job of Chief FinTech Officer in 2015, I had a not such a big target, but we managed to put a dozen unicorn in 10 years. You have 2 years, 100 unicorn, 8 to go. As we stand today, I may be wrong, but I believe by some count, it could be 40 because a lot of Japanese companies do not go in the path of valuation. They go for public listing and they become unicorn. If I take the count, it will be around 40. But that's not the big question. The question is, what is there in current Japanese ecosystem which eventually lead to that outcome of 100 unicorn by 2027? So let's start asking a very fundamental question. And I'd love to go to Goto-san first, given you have a fascinating story of suing the government and winning the case. From a cultural standpoint, where does Japan stands in this whole ecosystem building process? Because you are quite radical in the system.
Yeah. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Now I'm doing Kototsuna. This is generative AI. But my previous company was Kenko.com. That was the biggest online drugstore in Japan. And I founded that company in 1994 and went public in 2004. And I retired in 2014, and I sold it to Rakuten in 2016. And during the period, I sued the government for their regulation. The Kenko.com was an online drugstore, and the government banned some of our business selling OTC drugs online. And that is for the vested interest groups, such as pharmacist groups or drugstores, collaborated with politicians and bureaucrats to save the old economy. So this is one of the obstacles for the new economies. And we need to tackle with those kind of obstacles.
Now, you sued the government and you own the case, culturally very unthinkable in this part of the world. You took $100 million of capital and you lost it. Yeah. And tell your story, culturally, how did you deal with this risk of failure in Japanese society? That's quite common in the US, not in Japan.
Right, true. So, well, I am a strong believer of, very good thing to take risk, right? So, let me kind of briefly tell you about the story. Yes, right now I'm running AI fintech startup, but previously I was running AI robot.
Laundry.
Yeah, like laundry folding robot. Like everybody hates like folding laundry, right? Yeah. So we raised $100 million from like Panasonic, Daiwa House, and KKR, and all these big guys. Everybody was dreaming of having laundry automated laundry folding robot. So we succeeded up to a certain point before it ran into mass production testing, but we could not raise additional $30 million, and we couldn't.
So it's a cash flow problem, the traditional cash flow problem.
Right. Well, there's of course certain wrong business decisions that I made, sure. But we tried our best, and it didn't reach because of the finance at the end.
I see. Well, I'll come to the second round question. Let me get to the first round of unique. I have a unique set of panelists. One sued the government, other lost money. So how do you get to $1 billion unicorn valuation in 2 years' time? Now going to the other Shin-san. Now your story, you are a payment company. You seem to be lucky, going slow and steady. Your story on this path to unicorn, or some eventual path to unicorn.
Yes, a little bit part of my introduction. I run a fintech startup called Cash, and also I raised closer to 120 million so far in funding, and for the last rounds, the block invested in us.
You got a 300 million valuation, right?
120 million in funding.
Oh, you got real cash?
Yeah.
Oh, you got your funder sitting side? Oh, okay.
I mean, in aggregate total.
Okay.
But over the course, so last month marked our 10th anniversary. So I founded the company in 2015. So I've been running for 10 years now. And over the course of my journey, a lot of challenges in terms of the regulations and scale. So in fintech, especially for payment and banking, as we grow, the less freedom that we get. So it's usually a little bit opposite of what the business usually get after scale. So I think I would like to address what kind of challenges that we hold, when it comes to growing the fintech startup in Japan, especially.
Okay. Now, a common question, before I go to Christy, a common question for three of you. What are the source of capital? Japanese capital or non-Japanese capital? On a ratio, what percentage Japanese capital for you?
I would say half and half. Half from
50-50.
Japan and half from the Silicon Valley.
Goto-san, for yourself?
Yeah, domestic.
100%.
Yeah, and half from me.
Oh, personal money. I consider Japanese money. For yourself?
Like my case, like 70 to 80% Japan, and then rest from the US and China and other
I see.
rest
So
of the world.
predominantly it's domestic capital getting allocated to the startup ecosystem, if I can take that as a broad sample. Now, Christy, you came from, you are part of the Block and previously Square, very Silicon Valley company, getting money, losing money is part of the life. You are in Japan. Give us a contrasting sense of cultural difference between Silicon Valley and Tokyo.
Well, I mean, being more familiar with Silicon Valley, I think it's a culture that really cultivates startups. There's a community of people that are just excited about trying new things, about experimenting and innovating, and they've got the ability to share with each other. It also provides a bed of talent there, folks that want to join companies and take that high risk. I think to get to the 100 unicorns, you'd want to cultivate that same community here to make sure that you're able to share those ideas, to take those risks, to incubate that type of environment.
It's challenging.
Definitely challenging, but that's part of the fun, right?
Sure, I'm sure. Well, I think when we were discussing backstage, regulation play a key part. Can each of, maybe start with you, give a sense, where do you think the regulations should stack up to create that environment to allow this path to unicorn become real?
Well, yeah, like our government is changing, definitely. Like,
Changing quite frequently, or?
yeah, well, changing. I mean, changing in good ways.
Okay.
To try to let us take risks, and then less regulations. So, as you know, probably the Japan is one of the most regulated country in the whole world.
Yes.
And then people love it. Well, don't love, but they don't. They
get
say
used
no.
to it.
Used to it, exactly. Thank you. So, but because we economically we've been like going down or going behind, and everybody realized that, oh no, like we cannot be this like stubborn for forever. So people are changing. The government is changing, and then like it's much less regulated than like 5-10 years ago for sure, and people are taking more risks. Young people, entrepreneurs are taking more risks now.
Is this the risk? Sorry, I don't want to stop you, but you can continue. But on the risk question, is this something coming as a peer pressure from the West, or something naturally coming from the Japanese society?
Probably both.
I see.
Both, yeah. Like one simple example is when I was in elementary school, on the wall it says like brush your teeth or say hi to everyone or something like that, right?
Yes. I think we should brush your teeth.
Yes. But in the US, my kid went to elementary school in the US.
Yes.
The first thing I saw is take risk,
Okay.
right?
Don't brush your teeth.
Yeah, but so never brush your teeth. But but it was a difference. But in Japan now, young people or young smart people like 20th or 30th are trying to take risks.
Okay.
So it's a good thing.
So it's coming as a natural process and it is reflected in the government choices. Goto-san, you are smiling. I don't know what to smile for. Agreeing or not agreeing?
Yeah, I think that I'm the older generation of both of Shinichi-san. And yeah, I experienced the economic bubble in Japan in 1980s. And at that time, most of my generation experienced the huge loss from the market. And so most of our generation think that the investing market is very risky, so we need to avoid. But our generation is now wiping out, there are many talented Z-gens, such like Otani baseball player. The generation is changing in Japan. So I think that we have very good hope for the next generation.
Regulation-wise, do you see a shift happening?
Yeah, a shift is happening, but that is slow. But the mindset change will be a little.
So the people are changing faster than the regulation.
Yeah, I think so.
And will it put a pressure on the politicians to change the regulation?
Um,
Or else you have somebody like you going to question.
yeah, politicians. Yeah, they are slow.
Yes, slow. Man, this is okay. I don't want to go there. Your regulation.
Yeah, I think I would say for the first 5 years, we're pretty small. So I think from the regulatory standpoint, we were not even there to be caught in the radar. But then as soon as we get some, bigger in terms of numbers and stuff, Japanese regulators really care about consumer protection, which is great thing. But in exchange of prices that we pay for that higher consumer protection, it's kind of sacrificing the growth. So I think it's really hard to imagine what it takes for us to deal with that, high consumer protections, and still make sure for us to, push forward for the hyper growth. So it's really tough. So I see during the course of journey, it's getting tougher as we scale. So the balance of the two is really I still feel that's been pretty.
Interesting about the word consumer protection. Now, one of the way when I was a regulator, we respond to the market risk is to increase our requirement on consumer protection. I think if you look at the traditional regulatory framework for startup, anybody there are like 4 layers, so 5 layers. You start with, in the fintech world, you start with the know your customer, money laundering, consumer protection, market integrity, and financial stability, right? That's the regulatory stack. There's nothing wrong in regulators intervening on consumer protection. The big question, Christine, US, while consumer protection is required, where does the regulation comes in this process? Given Square would have faced a lot of regulatory challenges around the world, and still it has grown, and it's now what, 40 billion, 50 billion valuation now. So how do you stack up this regulatory expectation from getting to the path to a higher valuation?
I mean, I do agree that when you start, you're a smaller profile, and so you don't get the regulatory attention that you would when you're at scale. But I also think like innovation and growth isn't necessarily contrary to regulation. You can work with the regulators.
It can work.
It can definitely work.
Yes.
I mean, I think you want to get to a place where you're not doing things just because the regulators are telling you to do it, but you do it because you think
As part of your
it's
consumer.
best for the customer. Yeah, you're thinking from a customer-first mindset. Building trust means building trust with regulators, with partners, with customers. So there are ways to ensure that you can do things on the same path. And as you scale, it's even more important to build those relationships and foster, a more collaborative.
But my own experience with FSA, and I've been working with them, I think some lens, we think Japan regulation is far more conducive than any other regulator around the world when it comes to fintech space. I'm hoping the regulatory designs should be helping to that path of unicorn, 100 unicorn in next 2 years. Now, one of the ingredients to get into unicorn is talent. And Japan needs a lot of talent, a lot of people to come and work here because you have a declining population. I want to go to each of you, let's start there. Talent, resources, human resources, where is that set of people you'll need to have to get to that unicorn, 100 unicorn in 2 years? What is that Japan's solution to lack of talent or lack of number of resources required?
Yeah, I think the situation has been changing a lot since I founded in 2015. At that time, there were like a very, very few founders. But then nowadays, as everyone mentions, there's increasing number of founders, coming out of consulting firms or bankings or any type of companies or even outside of school. But I see what we're missing is Tokyo Stock Exchange is pretty large as compared to the other markets. So there are tons of professional managements, like CEOs. And also, we also are having a increasing number of founders, but then there is something in between that the managements that really led the hyper growth or like a growth stage CEOs. So I'm also feeling a lot of challenges. Founder to CEO type of transition is critical, and that kind of chunk of talent pool is what we are missing right now. So, and what are the ways to increase that figures is that I guess first there needs to be more successful startups. Doesn't have to be unicorn, but somewhat they can exit and start the new ones or invest in other startups. So maybe growth stage founders or CEOs are.
So my question is more not on the founder side. To build a company, you need a lot of human resource. You have a challenge in Japan. So how are you going to backfill those gap? Yeah, sorry.
I mean, one way could be a more distributed workforce. If you provide that flexibility, you can increase your talent pool by hiring folks.
So you mean put more offshore?
No, not necessarily offshore. I mean, people working more remotely.
Oh, within
So-
Japan.
Within Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the female workforce, which has been a big challenge? Can they be tapped as a or an additional pool of resources because to get to 100 unicorn, you need a lot of people
Absolutely.
to participate in that growth. Given, I'm asking a question, how to tap into the female workforce?
I mean, I think providing that flexibility, and one way to do that would be more hybrid, more distributed environments. I mean, people have shown COVID was a forcing function where people had to work from home and had to work remotely, but it's proven successful within a lot of different companies.
What needs to be done to get there? We know the answer that we need to tap in more female to the workforce. What do you have, or anybody can respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of it, right? Like if you were traditionally saying a part of the female workforce is they've got multiple demands on their
Yep.
life because they're mothers or aunts or have familial or personal responsibilities, one way to be able to tap into that talent is to provide them flexibility.
To work.
And that could be females, it could be men, it could be
Yeah,
a
yeah.
number of different.
And do you think, how do you solve the talent problem?
Well, good question, but yeah, definitely female. Like a lot of smart Japanese females, like stay home and then maybe work less than men, which is wasted.
Yes.
The talent is wasted. But as I said, younger generations, people are more flexible, and even the younger companies, not the legend companies, the younger companies allow more flexible work. Like our company probably, completely allow 100% remote work. Female, like time limited work is fine when they're raising kids and everything. So it's changing. It was very, very kind of solid society, but now it's very, like, not very flexible, but becoming a flexible.
So you see an opportunity to tap
Yeah.
into that for
Right,
people
right.
like us above 50, Goto-san, I guess you above 50. How about people like us, silver lining? Do you get to work with the startups?
Yeah.
Yeah, but from the gender balance, I think that my previous company, that was about 30 years ago. We worked with many females. There are lots and lots of talented females in Japan, and also for I think that Japan is one of the most the luckiest country for the talent, especially global talent. For example, my company, our members are about 30, and more than half of us are non-Japanese.
I see.
And from the very good schools, such like the Oxford MBA, Cambridge MBA, and London Business School, and most of them are from the top 100 universities in the world. And they love to come to Japan with the not good salary. And
No,
they want to leave.
You triggered another question. Why not good salary?
Because we are the startups.
No, but I presume that there should be other incentives to bring good talent with good salary.
Yeah, but they want to work with us, and they want to work in Japan, but they don't speak Japanese,
I see.
and they don't like to work in the big companies,
Okay.
big traditional companies in Japan. They seek the Japanese startups, but most of the Japanese startups, even Japanese startups, require the N something requirement for Japanese language capability. We don't have any hurdle for the
So
Japanese.
Goto-san, or any, this is an open question. Do you think it's easier for foreigners to come and work in Japan?
Yeah.
It is easier. You think yes?
Yeah, and also the Japanese government easily issued
What visa?
the visa.
Okay.
If I work in Singapore, they are very hard to accept.
Tell me.
And United States, who is the president of the United States?
No comment. Okay. Well, is easy to get foreign talent to Japan? Because you, in my sense, to get to that 100 unicorn, you must open the door to foreign talent. That's my view.
Right. Yeah. I agree, 100%. And we are taking actually the same strategy. So like, it's very easy to get like foreign smart talent, if the company allow them to speak English only in the office.
Culturally.
Yeah. So like, then we can get a lot of good talents. But the Japanese language is always the hurdle. So executives in the company, if we only speak Japanese, it's so hard to get good talents. But everybody speaks Japanese, I mean English, then it's not that hard.
Okay. I'm going to switch to the fourth layer of path to unicorn, customer. For companies to become unicorn, you need client. In the design to get 100 unicorn, I am assuming that a lot of your client will be outside Japan. What is the Japanese strategy to sell your ideas to customers beyond domestic market? Because without that, very hard to get to that 100 unicorn companies. Payment Shinsan.
You mean outside of country? You mean
With the
clients?
yeah. Because you're building product in Japan,
Right.
I'm sure your strategy allows you to sell this product outside Japan.
Well, for us, truth be told, I think we at least currently like only look at Japanese
So
market.
your plans are pure domestic.
Well, I mean, in long term, yes, but not in near term. Like within
And
a
you
couple
think
of years.
you'll get to a unicorn starters by purely depending on the domestic market?
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's the plan.
And I think Japanese domestic market is large enough to chase after if we try to capture the right markets. So, I mean, depending on what kind of services that is, but I think it's a large enough market.
So the depth of the market is so large, you don't need overseas market.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing.
Right. And especially on the fintech, if we need to get the license in other countries, we cannot leverage our team that much, and we need a subset of the same
Yes.
set of the
Yes.
the teams.
But the reason I'm bringing this question, because when China was building unicorn, it was largely domestic market, but some point in time they have to get out of China and go to other market. I'm sure Japan will go through the cycle. Goto-san, do you need overseas market to be a unicorn?
Yeah, I think so. Japanese market is very tough. Yeah, our current business is generative AI chatbot, and in that case, there are the many risks for the generative AI. So most of the domestic client avoid to use generative AI chatbot. But we developed the avatar-based generative AI chatbot, and the first client is the Jewel Changi Airport. They introduced our system.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I hope this time I go back and check it out.
Yeah, all of that have the chatbot there, but a couple of chatbot avatar
Okay.
now. Yeah,
So you are the man behind it.
yeah.
Okay. Do Japanese market need Japanese unicorn need overseas market to grow?
I mean, I don't think necessarily. I think there's this.
So the depth of market is quite
It seems like
deep.
it, yeah. It feels like there's a rich market here. I mean, for us as a U.S. company, the Japanese market was the first international market for us in 2013 because we
see.
saw so much potential here in Japan.
I see.
Well, I think we Japanese startups have to go global if we really want to have over 100 unicorns.
Yes.
And
But from that context, yes.
right, that is the problem, I think,
Yes.
because as Shin said, the Japanese market is fairly big enough to have a comfortable success, and our IPO market allow relatively small size IPO, like valuation of $20-30 million,
Yep.
is like
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's a good segue for my next question, exits. Because you can only grow if there is enough exits happening, or that's how you build the unicorn base. What is the exit market in Japan?
The minimum sizes, as I said, is 20-30 million valuation is the minimum to go IPO.
I see. No, even before IPO, getting acquired, M&A, mergers, is it pre-IPO? Sorry, yeah. Before the IPO, is there a pathway, because you are a small company, get acquired by next company, and you can consolidate, become a unicorn? Is that ecosystem exist in Japan?
Oh, you mean like sort of
Buyouts.
buyout? Well, that's another problem maybe. Buyout is like much less portion of our kind of exit in Japan.
But bringing that, Christy, in US, one of the big advantages of startup, they can be bought even and get consolidated, and that can become a unicorn. From that context, do you see that happening in Japan more?
Yeah, it's happening now. It's started, like starting.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have seen this market. How many of these buyouts are happening here?
I mean, I think it probably depends on the industry, right? Like it depends on the industry and the type of company.
But not that much.
I don't think so. It feels like there is a lot of potential here.
That. Goto-san?
Yeah, you mean buyout?
Yes.
Yeah, one of the problem is that there are not huge investors for Series C or Series D, and also if some company went public, there are very few secondary market after IPO. So there are not huge player in Japan. So there are not many money for the buying the startups.
I see. Shin-san?
Yeah, I think the other Shin-san mentioned, but I think there's increasing number of M&As or buyouts happening, but then still there's invisible threshold of 10 million above is very less. And also that's one of the reason we raise capital from outside of Japan, that there's significant lack of growth capital, at least back then.
Yes.
So the only way for us to get funded is, getting listed, around the valuation of like 100 million or so. So it's and then after you get listed, you cannot just do a startup play. You just have to estimate the growth in accurate manners and everything. So it's very tied to commitments that
quickly it looks like M&A is a challenge, buyout is a challenge. It has to be developed to get to that 100 status. Now, public market, IPO, your quick comments on?
Yeah, I guess now Japanese government and Tokyo Stock Exchange is trying to kind of raise the barrier of minimum IPO like valuation size, I think, which is good. Also, let's go back to M&A story, but the Japanese M&A of startup is still like very small valuation. Almost never seen like a $2-3 billion M&A case yet. So that also has to come together with IPOs, like size, like scaling at the same time.
I see. IPO, Christy, how this market looks for the startups?
For startups in Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there would be a market for startups. It would depend on, I think, having one or two good examples of that be successful, particularly if it's a cross-border merger.
I see.
That's something I think that would help propel the market.
Goto-san?
Yeah, the IPO, most of the investors in Japan seek the profit. Yeah, so the PR or EBITDA or those kind of metrics, and not the vision or the dreams of the new technology. So I think this mindset, valuation under this kind of mindset is tend to be very low. So that is one of the cause for the low valuation IPO and also the low valuation MAs.
So the market, because of low valuation, there's less incentive to get exit in this market.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a number of companies who are thinking about getting listed in NASDAQ these days, not only the Tokyo Stock Exchange, so that could be another options that companies can think of. But still, if the company get listed, very like iterations and new challenges, needs to be more careful, and really they have to commit to the numbers. So it's really hard for startups to, take on that challenge.
Okay, now we have little over 5 minutes left. So all of you have to give me a pitch how to get it to 100 unicorn in next 2 years. A mission impossible. So where do I start? Who should give that first mission impossible pitch? What if
Okay.
you? Let's start with this insan. Give a mission impossible pitch. How
Okay.
to get 100?
Yeah. To be honest, I think it's impossible, but but it will be possible within few years, I believe.
What is your give a which year? 2030? Or,
Huh?
or when think 2030?
Yeah. Well, say 2030. Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
give a pitch. How to get that?
Okay, we do have, this country have money, investors' money as well. And now we have increasing number of younger, smart people who take risk. And, but it has to, it doesn't like change like a shot, right? So it has to kind of accumulate and gradually grow. And it's coming, but it just takes time. So we have to just push, like take risks, like never go work for the government, never go work for big companies.
Okay.
Just like,
Never work for the government, never work for the big company.
not never, but yes.
Oh, yeah. Avoid big company, avoid government. Okay. What else?
Okay, and then also like I think we have to have more global leaders in Japanese global leaders.
Yes.
Who speak English and who have experiences in abroad.
Okay.
And that also has to come.
I see.
And all has to kind of gradually change.
Come together. But I know, just before I go to Christy on the mission impossible pitch, one of the challenges you just, as you were explaining, is you have a huge entrenched incumbent market. And it's very hard to fight that incumbent market, from vendor to relationship, the customer, they're all held by traditional company. That's a very difficult nexus to break in.
Yeah, well, it is true. But on the other hand, we do have big market, relatively big market.
Sure.
So pro and cons.
Yeah, okay.
So we just break this,
Break this.
wall
Okay.
and then go.
Okay, break this. How are you going to break this?
So I think, echoing some of the things that have already been said, I think the first thing is you need capital, right? Whether that's domestic capital or international capital, I think you need a community of people that are like-minded and excited about taking those risks. And underscoring all of that is that cultural shift to really embrace the want to be a startup culture, to take those risks, to experiment and innovate.
Cultural shift, risk, take the risk. I presume you're targeting to people to leave their big jobs, big company jobs, come to startup, take that big risk, right?
Yeah, to bet on themselves. to
Okay,
try
the
something
pitch is
new.
same, get out of the big company, work with the startups, and then get them to unicorn. Goto-san, you have a long innings to give me at least 2 minutes of pitch.
Yeah, I think that it is very good timing for to becoming unicorns. I think that now the paradigm change time. Yeah, I experienced the emerging of the internet about 30, 40 years ago. And now 30 something years ago. But now is the paradigm change with generative AI. So if we utilize this chance to become unicorn, I think that this is we have very huge chance to do so.
You're repeating this word. We have a best chance. What is that best chance now? Why is it such a
Yeah. There are many empty spaces.
empty spaces means?
generative AI will change everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all the gaps Japan has, AI can help to get over that.
Most the regulation and those kind of technology fit I think that there are the very huge empty space.
White space.
Yeah, white space for the generative AI.
To occupy.
Yeah,
I see.
I believe so.
So good timing. With AI coming in,
Yep.
Japan has chance to get back to the unicorn market.
Yes.
You're the last one to give a Mission Impossible pitch.
First of all,
You
it's
better
great.
get it best.
Well, first of all, it's great that the government officially stated let's just aim 100 unicorns by 2027. I think that commitment is very good to begin with, and let's just not make an excuse for including some other companies. Hey, we gotta achieve that. But anyways,
Even
so
get the statistics right.
yeah.
Okay.
Because we've seen this, the government officially committed cashless ratio or the penetration by the year of 2021, and they achieved it, and they did it a lot of promotions. So towards 2027, there should be a lot of promotions or a push towards getting those numbers done. So I think that trends and push is going to be a great force. And also jumping out of big corporates, I think from a statistics, there's a great number of startups who pays more than the usual Japanese corporates these days. So I think in terms of compensations and where to work, startup is not really a bad place to be. So I think it could be a matter of time, and also the government's final push towards hitting that number.
Fantastic. I think we are just on the time. I think no more big companies, no more government, a lot of good salaries, more foreign talent, more women to come into the workforce, white space, great timing. We may not get to 100 by 27, but we may get by 2030. With that optimism, thank you very much.